The man who saw through your eyes. Have you ever wondered why some people see a wall where others see a wide-open door? In the early 1900s, the world was a playground for the few, and the road was a luxury reserved for the elite. Henry lived in this world, but he refused to see it through the eyes of the wealthy. At the time, cars were handcrafted toys for the rich, built by artisans who spent months on a single machine. Henry's business partner Maxim loved this exclusivity. To Maxim, a high price tag was the ultimate mark of success, and he believed their company should cater only to those with deep pockets. But Henry had a different gift. He didn't just look at the machine, he looked at the man standing in the field. He watched a weary farmer struggling with a stubborn horse and realized that this man didn't need a toy. He needed a tool. He put himself in the farmer's boots, feeling the ache of a long day's work. If I asked people what they wanted, Henry famously thought, they would have said faster horses. The conflict in the boardroom grew heated. Maxim insisted on higher margins and fewer customers. Henry countered with the vision of a car so simple and cheap that every family could own one. To succeed, Henry knew he had to understand the person most others ignored, the worker on the factory floor. He stood beside them, watching how they moved, how they tired, and how they repeated the same heavy lifting until their spirits broke. He saw the inefficiency, not as a failure of the men, but as a failure of the system. He invented the moving assembly line, bringing the work to the men instead of the men to the work. It was a mechanical marvel, but Henry's true innovation was psychological. He realized that a man who cannot afford the product he builds will never truly care about the quality of his labor. Then came the climax that shocked the industrial world. Henry announced the $5 day, doubling the average wage overnight. Maxim and the other titans of industry were outraged, calling him a socialist and a fool. They predicted he would go bankrupt by giving away his profits to the unwashed masses. But Henry saw what they couldn't. By paying his workers enough to actually buy the cars they were building, he wasn't just creating a workforce, he was creating a market. He had stood in their shoes and realized that a well-paid worker is the ultimate consumer. The Model T flooded the streets, changing the landscape of the world forever. Henry's ability to see through the eyes of the common man didn't just make him a billionaire, it birthed the middle class. He proved that the greatest business strategy isn't greed, it's radical empathy. Here is the shocking truth of his success. Henry Ford didn't actually care about cars. He called them nuisances later in life. He only cared about the power of the many. He realized that if you want to rule an empire, you must first learn to serve the person standing at the bottom of it.